Okay, so the note tells me that I am now live. I hope that that's true. I also hope that I'm not upside down. Let's see if I have any people that are viewing me right now. I know I have a couple of actors who are coming to join me on this live broadcast to do some work. I have someone coming to do a scene. Hi, Chi George. Chi just joined. She's going to be doing a monologue for us today, which I'm excited to see. He's a good worker, a hard worker, talented worker. So you guys, I have, like I said, 2 actors who have expressed a desire to do scenes today. So because of that, I'm going to do something a little bit different than I usually do for these broadcasts. Hey, Gigi. Gigi has joined now too. Because we have 2 actors that are interested in performing, and only 2 actors that are interested in performing today, I'm actually going to let them do their scene, give them a note or 2, and then let them do their scene again. So it will be a mini coaching session today. So in order to perform with me today, to read with me today, I will need you to request to join the live. And then we can get started. I'm just basically here to play in whatever way you guys want to play. So I talked to one of my clients yesterday, about possibly coming on and doing today's live broadcast. Very gifted actress, beautiful, beautiful girl. And she mentioned to me that she wants to do it. She said before that she wanted to do it. She's looking forward to when she has the ability to do it. But she mentioned that, she said, to be honest with you, going live makes me a little bit nervous. And I said, hey, it makes me a little bit nervous too. It actually scares the shit out of me. So that's why I'm doing it. I bring that up because I never used to have that fear. I'm a theater trained actress and I was so used to performing live all the time. But what I find is when we, and it's almost a cliche, when we spend a lot of time doing on-camera work and you know that you have the opportunity to redo a take, you start to depend on it even if you don't realize that you're depending on it. We also work in a field that is very, very critical. People have a ton of opinions and they don't hesitate to share it with us, right? So that's what I said to her is probably what's going on with me, that it's now been so many years of doing just on-camera stuff that I've gotten so used to not performing live, that performing live, again, feels a little bit daunting. And with that being the case, you know, the best way to handle that is to perform live. So if you have a monologue in your back pocket, if you have a scene in your back pocket, or if you have something that you want to try out, something that you want to work on that you haven't done before, this is a good, believe it or not, safe space to do it. There's not a million people watching. I'm not that person. So you can come and it'll still feel like a safe space for you to perform. A small community of actors comes and participates in this, watches it after the fact. And I try to keep it really, really positive, as those who've done it before with me can attest to. With that being said, I'm going to go ahead and accept Miss Gail's request to join my live. Hi, lady. How are you?
I'm fine. How are you?
I am doing very well.
So now, are you on Curb Your Enthusiasm as a regular now?
Oh, gosh, that would be so awesome, but no.
Well, girlfriend, wait a minute. That's what I put out there for you, that even if you're just reoccurring, that you will be a constant reoccurrence.
Hey,
I put that when I saw that you were on there, I said, oh, yes, they're going to be going to the travel thing all the time now. Yeah. So I'm so happy for you, really.
I would love that, to be honest with you, because my experience there was really great.
Good.
It was a very, very rainy day, a very, very cold day. So I didn't get to interact with people a whole lot. I was most of the time in my trailer. But when I did get called to set, when I was invited to set, you know, everybody that worked, all the crew was really, really nice. My scene was with Susie Essman, who was very lovely and very gracious. Jeff Schaefer, I don't know if he says Schaefer or Schaffer. I should know, but I don't. The executive producer he's been nothing but gracious since the time I was hired. Like from the beginning, he made himself available to the actors and has continued to answer various questions that I've had since. Like, hey, did I make Final Cut? Because I don't want to tell people I'm on it if I'm not on it. And he responded to that email and was like, yeah, you did. And then needless to say, Larry David was like the loveliest man.
Oh, nice. That's nice.
Nothing at all like his character. Just such a sweet, yeah.
That's
so I just did the one episode, but if they ever wanted me to go back and if they wanted people to,
oh no, you're going to be a constant reoccur. I put that out there, and I'm looking forward to seeing you on other episodes. So I put it out there. So it might not happen the first couple of months, but it's going to happen. I assure you. I see it.
From your mouth to God's ears. How lovely.
Absolutely. Wonderful.
So this is, I noticed the scene that you sent me is from the Blue Stain Kennedy open call. Is that right?
It's
is that you got it?
Yes, absolutely.
Because it's clearly NCIS?
Yes.
Yeah. Typically, I haven't been giving coaching just because I'm trying to, make sure that people just feel like they can come and enjoy themselves and relax. But it's up to you. If you want to just experience and experiment, we can. But if you would like to do an actual, if you do want me to give you a note or two after you're done and then do a second take, we can do that as well. Which would you prefer?
Oh, absolutely, because this is one that I'm going to be turning in, so I want to be at my very best.
All right, so I've done Chatty Cathy for a while. I'm going to give you a few seconds to get in your space that you need to be in to start.
Okay.
For this scene, madam, you do have the first line, so you can begin whenever you're ready.
That poor boy must be reeling. After a loss like that, Agent Gibbs, who'd be thinking straight?
So you know nothing about it?
I don't write notes or make threats. I just say what I'm thinking.
Yes, ma'am.
And as for any tenants meetings, well, so what? Neighbors come together in troubling times. Some of these folks I've known forever.
And how long is that?
Going on 20 years. Since right after my Walter died. He was a Navy man himself.
Is that right?
2 tours in Cambodia. His pension bought this place. Covered all 40,000. Of course, it ain't worth nothing now.
That bad?
Can't sell it. Can't move it. Mobile homes are not the least bit mobile. Truck driver the other day charged $6,000 to haul off the landlord's place. Please. Oh yeah, we all got together and talked about making a counteroffer on the rent, hoping that Phil's loss maybe soften him up a little bit.
You don't waste time.
No time to waste, or I'll be on the street. Systems rigged all right against regular folks. All I got left is this home and my paintings. What do you think?
Good looking cow.
My plan is to sell them all at the county fair. Leave the money to my grandkids when I die.
I bet they'd rather have your paintings.
Oh, That's so sweet of you. But I'll feel better knowing I helped pay for something useful, so they never have to end up like this.
Okay. Good start. Very good start. Let me ask you a couple of questions before I start messing with anything, okay?
Okay.
How long have you had the scene, Gail?
Just a couple of days.
Couple of days. How many times have you read it?
I've read it. I've read it enough to be better than what I am right now.
Okay. Well, now that you said that, I have a question about that you just said.
Okay.
What do you think makes it so that you weren't as good as you would have liked to have been?
Memorize. I get afraid. It was just as what I liked walking in on what you said about doing it and just all of a sudden just fearing up, because it's just so natural what's being said. So I don't see anything out of the ordinary here where you'd have to remember to put in ambidextrous into a middle of a sentence, just something weird or anything. So it's just all seems to flow. So I would think I'd be better at not just memorizing it, but just being able to act it.
Okay, so I wanna touch upon a couple of things about what you just said, and then we'll come back and talk about the scene itself. Okay.
Okay.
So in terms of memorization, for anybody who has concerns or fears or tenses up when it comes to memorization, my best advice for memorizing is not to try to memorize. So what I personally do is I just read the scene over and over and over and over. And when I say I read it over and over, with every scene I'm prepping, I read it a minimum of 10 times.
Okay.
And I'm not just reading my lines. I'm reading, of course, my lines, the other characters' lines, as well as the action. Some people call it stage directions. It's not stage directions because we're not on a stage. If it was theater, it's stage directions. But the action. So I read the whole thing. This is a tip I actually got from booking coach Amy Linden. I read the whole thing as though it's a book. And so I start from the beginning and I read it all the way through to the end. Even if I think I'm starting to know it, I still read it as if it's a book without putting any emotion, any inflection, any energy on it. It is straight so that my brain gets the idea of what's happening. Not even just the idea, the facts of the case, as it were, Gail. Mm-hmm. All right. So the part of us that acts from emotion, the part of us that emotes, it's one side of the brain. The part of us that analyzes is a different side of the brain. And if we immediately go into acting it out, we're triggering the side of the brain that functions in ideas, images, abstract thought, as opposed to the side of the brain that deals with facts and objectivity. And what you need to know first, like if I were to ask you to tell me the story of the Three Little Pigs right now, you can do it without even trying. You don't have to reference anything. You know exactly what happens, or the story of Little Red Riding Hood, or the story of any fairy tale that you know from your childhood. This happens, then this happens, then this happens, then this happens.
Yeah. And
that's what we have to do when we're prepping a scene.
Okay.
Before we start acting it and before we start making any character choices, we have to know this happens, then this happens, then this happens, then this happens.
Okay.
All right. So my suggestion for everybody going forward is don't immediately go start playing it. Just read it as though it's a nonfiction, boring ass textbook. Do that.
Okay.
And then that part of your brain creates a map of the scene.
Okay.
Then also it gives you the given circumstances in such a way that when you start making your character choices and your acting choices, they are directly from the given circumstances of the scene. And they will make perfect sense with the scene. Also, what happens in this way of working is you memorize it without trying. The same way that when a new song comes out on the air, on the radio, you don't know it. You've never heard it before. But you know how these radio stations do. They keep playing it and playing it and playing it and playing it. And the next thing you know this song without even trying. You haven't sat down with the lyrics and tried to memorize it. You haven't sat down with the sheet music and go, okay, it sings from G to E to F to B, C. No, it just, you sublimate it. Mm-hmm. And so that is the benefit of this tip as far as your memorization goes.
Okay.
It sublimates it for you.
Okay.
All right?
That makes sense.
All right. Getting back to the scene itself, I'm not trying to talk you out of this scene. I think that you can play the scene very, very well. But if you do have a concern about memorization, this is one of those situations, this Bluestein Kennedy open call, all of the open calls that are happening right now, you guys, is one of those situations where we get to pick the material. So because you have your choice of several scenes, if you feel like memorization might be a hindrance for you, you can pick one that's not so monologue heavy. This scene is monologue heavy. So anybody who is working on it, Gail, it would be a little bit of a lift to get off book for this. All right. So as you're working on it, if you continue to work with the scene, be gentle with yourself. Be patient with yourself. Yes, ma'am. Because it's a lot of monologues. You have at least what they call monologues in television. It's not theater level monologues, but you have 1, 2, 3 legitimate monologues, and then 1, 2, 3, 4 speeches.
Yes.
Yeah.
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 I think it's doable. I
think it is too. I think it is too. But I just wanted to remind you that when you have the choice, and this is for everybody, when you have the choice, make the choice that feels most comfortable to you. Don't make the choice based on, oh, I think I need to show them this, or, oh, I think I need to prove that. Whatever is going to help you shine the most, that's what you want to do, okay?
Okay.
Now, getting back to your scene, I want to start at the beginning, and I want to give you a few things that are getting missed in the storytelling, okay?
Okay.
All right. The first thing is that do you know why Gibbs is questioning you?
Yes. I'm considered the ringleader in a...
Very good. Very good. Very good. Okay. So when you talk to him in this scene, do you think that he believes you, or do you think that he doesn't believe you? Do you, as the actor, think that Gibbs believes the character of Esther?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
I think he believes.
Do you think? Yes. Do you think he believes? Why do you think he believes her?
Well, I think that she's a believable character. She's been there for a long time. Just physically, she wouldn't be the one to do the murder. More than likely, I doubt that she's the one who did the murder. And
okay, but it doesn't stop her from being the one to plan the murder. So at the top, his question is about. We don't hear it, but he has asked her about the writing of notes. And the reason I know that is because here's what we have. Esther says, that poor boy must be reeling right now. After a loss like that, Gibbs, who would be thinking straight? And then Gibbs says, so you know nothing about it. And that it that he says has to be in reference to something. And it's not in reference to the murder itself, which you would think, oh, he's obviously, which is a little bit broader and a little bit vague. Yes, he's investigating the murder. But right now in this moment, he's talking specifically about notes.
Notes, right.
Threatening notes. And we know that because of your response. You say, I don't write notes or make threats. I say what I'm thinking. So I just gave you a line reading, which typically I try not to do, but I did it to point out for you the operative words in this section of the scene. So he came there thinking that you might be a suspect. He came there thinking that you might have written those notes. And we know that because he says, yes, ma'am. And then he covertly pockets a charcoal pencil from her easel. So he's taking it to test, probably for fingerprints. Yes. Or even to do a charcoal match to see if it matches what the notes were written on, how the notes were written. Okay? So in the beginning, he doesn't come in believing you. he comes in because thinking that you might be, yes, but you change his mind. So your instinct that he believes you is accurate, but I wanted to point these things out because it's got to be specific. Your performance has to be specific, and those are your specifics as to why, okay?
Okay.
Yes, ma'am. And we know at the end that he believes you because it says, again, in our action, and this is actors why it's so important that we read the action and not just the lines. It says, off Gibbs, wishing he could buy them all. So after hearing your story, he not only believes you, he wants to save you.
Right.
Okay?
Right. Yeah.
Okay. Great. So keep those things in mind when you start this time, that she is genuine.
Okay.
She is a genuine person. She's described at the top of the scene as sweet. And that sweetness could have been a ruse, but it turns out no, she's legitimately sweet, okay? Which is probably why she's offered her home for the meetings that the tenants have been having. Not to plan a murder, but because she's open and welcoming like that. And so keep that in mind for your reality of this person.
Okay.
And now in terms of the technical side of your performance, tighten it up, tighten it up, tighten it up, tighten it up, tighten it up.
Okay.
TV scenes are very fast. And if this scene was being performed, it would be an eighth of the amount of time it actually took us to get through that scene just now.
Oh, okay.
So you are acting a lot in films. You're booking a lot of films, I'm assuming short films?
Yes.
Okay. And it's showing. And this happens with a lot of the actors who come to me for coaching. And so there's an allowance made for you in film that is not made for you in television. Because of time, because of commercial breaks. Also because of pacing and how it's written. So to help you tighten it up for right now, because I know that you are not off book yet, I want to give you the permission to read it off the page. In fact, I'm giving you the dictate to read it off the page, all right?
Okay.
Only look up at me when I'm talking.
All right.
That way I can still see your face. But for right now, or if you happen to know that you absolutely know the line.
Okay.
But it's right now, instead of trying to split the difference because you're trying to be relational with me, but you're having to go back for the line, it's slowing you down.
Okay.
So tighten up the pacing, use the pages because they're there, and then also this will help you memorize the words as written because you have some paraphrasing that you did and you have some words that you dropped. And so in your beginning, until you know that you're memorized, always use your page.
Okay.
Always use your page. Okay. You start whenever you're ready.
Okay.
And T, I have not forgotten about you. I'm coming to you for your monologue soon. Don't worry, buddy.
That poor boy must be reeling right now. After a loss like that, Agent Gibbs, who'd be thinking straight?
Your punctuation, Gail, is after a loss like that, comma, Agent Gibbs, comma, who'd be thinking straight. So that's one sentence. The after a loss like that does not go with the poor boy sentence. It's two separate thoughts. Okay? Also, I need you to be specific in your thinking of who the poor boy is in reference to. You don't have to tell me right now because we are actually kind of running out of time.
Okay.
But as you do your prep work between now and when you put it on tape,
yes,
he needs to be a specific person for you. Because right now it starts like you're vaguely starting a scene as opposed to a real person talking about real people in a real moment.
All right.
So use someone from your life that you know. This doesn't have to be someone that you're close with because I don't know that you're very close with the person you're talking about right now. But imagine him when you offer up this first line.
Okay. That poor boy must be reeling right now. After a loss like that, Agent Gibbs, who'd be thinking straight?
Very good. So you know nothing about it.
I don't write notes or make threats. I say what I'm thinking.
Good. What's the line there, Gail?
I say what I'm thinking.
Okay, tell me in your own words.
Well, she's saying that she didn't write a note and she's not making a threat toward anyone. I say what I'm thinking.
That's it. How you said it just now is how it needs to be said.
Okay.
You're showing the contrast between someone who writes notes and someone who's direct.
Okay.
Okay? And don't miss that moment. All right, going again from top, and I'm going to try not to stop you. And if at any point you want to coach on this with me, let me know so I can give you more time. But I do need to move on to the next.
Yeah.
And I get so caught up. My clients will tell you this. I get so caught up. I'm like, oh, I want to make it better. Okay, I'm going to give you another note. Here's another note. Like, I can't stop. I'm like a junkie. Okay, when you're ready, start from top, and I will try not to interrupt you.
That poor boy must be reeling right now. After a loss like that, Agent Gibbs, who'd be thinking straight?
So you know nothing about it?
I don't write notes or make threats. I say what I'm thinking.
Yes, ma'am.
And as for any tenants' meetings, so what? Neighbors come together in troubling times.
Good.
Some of these folks I've known forever.
And how long is that?
Going on 20 years now. Since right after my Walter died. He was a Navy man himself.
Is that right?
2 tours in Cambodia, his pension bought this place. Covered all 40,000. Of course it ain't worth a dime now.
That bad?
Can't sell it, can't move it. Mobile homes are not the least bit mobile. Truck driver the other day charged $6,000 to haul off the landlord's place. Please. So, yeah. We all got together and talked about making a counteroffer on the rent, hoping that Phil's loss maybe softened him up a bit.
You don't waste time.
No time to waste, or I'm on the street. System's rigged all right against regular folks. All I got left is this home and my paintings. What do you think?
Good-looking cow.
My plan is to sell them all at the county art fair. Leave the money to my grandkids when I die.
I bet they'd rather have your paintings.
That's sweet of you to say, but I'll feel better knowing I helped pay for something useful, so they never end up like this.
Perfect. Okay, the other thing I want you to think about when you're prepping, whether you come back to me or not, is having a clear beginning, middle, and end of the scene. When you start talking about your husband, that is a new section, a new energy, a new feeling than what you had at the top, okay? Let some of that sweetness that's talked about in the action show there as you remember him, as you have some nostalgia, some soft emotions for the husband, okay? And what he did. And when you talk about him being a Navy guy too, you're proud of your husband, and you love him. All right. Then we get back to, there's this line where you say that you were hoping Phil's loss might have softened him up a bit in terms of the rent. So Phil is the boy that you're referencing at the top of the scene. When you say that poor boy must be reeling right now, you're referencing Phil. Yes. You're talking about Phil. And Phil is obviously the son of the landlord who died. Okay. Yeah. Also, what I don't want you to miss is when you say, what do you think, you are specifically talking about the painting that you are working on in that moment. You are not talking about the paintings in general. When you did your first read, you kind of looked at the room in general for the paintings on the wall. That happens later. In this moment, when you say, what do you think, you're talking specifically about the painting it says that you're working on at the top of the scene. He says, good-looking cow. And then when you say, my plan is to sell them all at the county art fair, then you can kind of reference the ones in the room. But you need to be careful not to have a wild eye line when you do it. Because when we are generally looking at a room, it can look kind of vague as opposed to if you have specific things that your eyes are landing on. Okay. And when you're talking about your paintings, you wouldn't do it like that. Right. So because you don't want this, but you also don't want just a vagueness, maybe just let it be in the intention as opposed to actually trying to indicate the room at all. All right? Okay. Because the people, if you were auditioning this, producers wouldn't see that anyway. We're not actually on set. So keep the focus on the relationship and what's happening right now in this moment. What is happening in this scene right now in this moment, okay? Okay. All righty. I hate to... No. You're very welcome. I hate to send you packing, but I need to grab Mr. George before... Absolutely. I have 15 minutes left. All right. Talk to you later.
Very much.
You're welcome very much. See you, Gail. I don't see your request. Okay, let me get Gail out. So moving her. Oh, there you go. Okay, Mr. George. How are you since yesterday?
I know, it's been so long. I'm good. I got a comedic monologue for you.
Great.
I'm sending it to you just, so you can reference it. I just realized maybe it'll be a good idea.
Did you email it to me?
I just emailed it to you, yeah.
Okay.
I just realized maybe it'll be a good idea for you to have it as well.
Okay, so because this is a monologue, I feel like we'll have plenty of time to get to you, and I can give you a note, and you can do it a second time. Because monologues are usually, 2 minutes long? And a lot of the notes that I just gave Gail will not be applicable to you because you've heard me say these things before. This was her first time doing any kind of coaching with me. Whereas she comes to me like every other week or something like that. He's really good at keeping his game sharp. Okay, whenever you are ready, sir, you may begin.
Okay. All right. I just fucking killed Chuck. I think. I mean, he's just laying there. He's not moving. I don't think he's breathing. I mean, there I was just on the roof with Marissa, talking, laughing, having a great time. I tell her she reminds me of Sandra Bullock. I tell her I loved Hope Floats. Who knows will be the magic words? Next thing I know, her clothes are off and we are loosening shingles like there's no tomorrow. And then there's kissing and biting and touching, and suddenly someone starts beating on me. I mean, just pounding on me and growling. Yeah, growling. I look up and there's Chuck. And I'm like, what's the problem? And he says, the problem, dude, is you're fucking my girlfriend. So I look at Marissa and I'm like, you're someone's girlfriend? And she says no. Then it comes out Chuck just wishes she's his girlfriend. But actually she's his cousin or something. So he's got these feelings of guilt about wanting her. And then he starts crying. So that ruined the mood. Marissa puts her clothes on and she goes back down through the window, back into the party. And I'm left with Chuck. Blubbering, whining, crying Chuck. And he starts in on how he's just this total fuck up, and maybe he should just throw himself off the roof. And for a split second, I'm thinking, yes, throw yourself off the roof. Do it. But I don't say that. I say, you're going to get a girl, buddy. Just maybe not your cousin, huh? And that, I give him a friendly pat on the back, a nice manly slap on the back. And he looked heavy. I mean, who knew he'd go flying? Who knew he'd go flying right off the roof?
Oh my God. Gee, oh my God. Like, I literally had to bite my lip so that I wasn't making noise during your read. And then my mouth started like shaking because I was like a cartoon character. Like, oh my God.
That's hilarious, right?
Dude, I love this on you.
Oh, yeah?
I do. I don't get to see you do a ton of comedy. We've done a couple of sitcom workouts together, but geez. Okay, so how long have you had this piece?
I got it like last week, and I probably read it like 10, 12 times, something like that. Yeah. So
I'm gonna give you some little nitpicky things to make it even better. If you want notes, if you don't want notes, we can
yeah.
Because again, y'all, typically this is not a place where I do coaching or where I give notes. Here's my note for you right now, Mr. George. We talked yesterday about the physicalization, using how you use your body in performance.
Right.
And you have this moment where you talk about giving him a friendly slap on the back. And we all know by this point it's leading up to the thing that's gonna, possibly kill him. So to make it clearer in the storytelling, I think you did something like you motioned towards yourself It's got to be this way. So you can't see my hand because of the framing here, but whatever you do, the hand's got to look like it's pushing against, not bringing towards.
Okay.
Because you're talking about the slap on the back. So to make that clearer, all right. And then the other little nitpicky thing I have for you is about your eye lines. When you were looking just now, are you reading the monologue from a device?
Yeah, my laptop's right behind my phone.
Okay, so if and when you go to perform this in an audition scenario, you are, of course, going to pick a focal point to be that person that you're talking to. Because you're not talking to a crowd of people. You are talking to one person. Okay. So when you have a situation like this with me, do not split camera. You kept going back and forth between the device that you were reading the monologue from and trying to connect with me. I think it was subconscious, but when you're in a situation like this, like say you do a Skype audition or whatever, you got to decide on where that focal point for the person you're talking to is, and you got to hold it. You can't go back and forth, because then it makes it clear that you aren't off book and that you are reading from the page. Whereas if you had just looked at your device and delivered it right there the whole time, because of where your eyes are in relation to your actual camera lens, it would have just looked to me like you were talking to the other character. But when you go back and forth, so that's just a little tweaky thing. I've seen this monologue before, and I've heard people be given the note to be more affected by it at the top, be more like devastated or affected by the fact that you just murdered somebody, and then let it travel into find the comedy after that. I like the choice you made better. So it's what made me laugh that this guy, the guy that you are was just like, dude, I think I just killed somebody, as opposed to be like, dude, I think I just killed somebody, and then trying to keep from there to make it comedy, to make it high comedy. No, your instinct on this was great. So to make it more specific, decide who the person is that you're talking to. So we talked about that, pinpointing the focus, okay? But then also decide who is that person that you're talking to. And not just in terms of the substitution you use from your real life, like either your lady or a good friend of yours or whatever, but in the tribe of this friendship of you and Chuck and the person you're talking to, where does that person sit in that tribe? Are they higher status or lower status? Are you higher status or lower status? Was Chuck higher status or lower status? Make that dynamic, that friendship dynamic, more specific for yourself, and it will inform your performance even more. It will give it more layers, okay? And much like the note I gave to Gail right before you came on, make sure you have a clear sense of the beginning, the middle, and the end of your piece. Okay. As opposed to it being one confession. There's this part of the confession where you're doing this, and there's this part of the confession, and there's that part of the confession, okay? Right. And when I say doing this, I mean where you're doing what you're doing intention-wise. What's happening with you there? Right. Okay. Any questions for me?
Well, you kind of hit it on the head with the beginning, because he does seem like he should be very effective, but then he goes into this long monologue. So I'm like, he doesn't really think he's dead, because it would be more.
You say, I think. I mean, he's just lying there. You say, I think, that you don't know for certain. Yeah. Yeah.
I just think if it was a real emergency that they would get to getting him help, he wouldn't go into this monologue. So.
That's a good point. That's a good point. You guys who are watching, that is a great example of looking at what's happening on the page and letting it tell you what's happening in the life of these characters. Perfect. Perfect.
Right. So to me, I was like, that was kind of a cue for me, since it's a comedy, to make the intro funny.
Yeah. Also, I really loved your delivery of the line of "you're somebody's girlfriend." You hit the word "your" like. This girl can't be a girlfriend. She's not girlfriend material. That was so hilarious. So because of that, make her, when I was talking about the tribe and making them all specific, make her very specific to you. Okay? Right. Very specific.
And then as far as the decision of where the friend that I'm talking to is in the tribe, I figured he's like the centered one who's going to help me, you know? So I make him kind of, I guess that makes him higher on the hierarchy.
Well, that's the choice. And you can make any choice you want, but I'm going to throw something at you. Mm-hmm. What if he's not?
Okay.
What if he's what's left because you just killed the guy who is the central figure, the anchor?
Right.
And think about what dynamic that plays. Play a few ways and see what ends up feeling the best for you. But it's like, if you're going to the fixer would probably stop you in your speech sooner and go, we have to go take care of it. But if you're talking to like someone who's not the fixer of your tribe, who's not the strength, you know, then what does that mean for you? And then that also means that later on in this, you can start having, the panic you didn't have at the top, you might start having. Because, oh shit, I'm about to fix this with this guy. This is the guy. Right. See how?
Right. Yeah.
Something to think about. On the spot. You ready, sir?
To go again?
Yeah. You don't have to. It's completely optional.
Yeah, I'm good.
All right. Pick one of the notes. I don't expect you to be able to acclimate all of the notes. Thank you. Great feedback from Gigi. You're welcome, Gigi. You're welcome, Gail. I'm not expecting you to implement every single note I just gave. Pick one to focus on for right now, but incorporate the rest as you continue to practice, okay?
All right.
Start whenever you're ready.
I just fucking killed Chuck. I think. I mean, he's just laying out there. He's not moving. I don't think he's breathing. I mean, there I was on the roof with Marissa, talking, laughing, having a great time. I tell her she reminds me of Sandra Bullock. I tell her I loved Hope Floats. Who knew those would be the magic words? Next thing I know, her clothes are off and we're loosening shingles like there's no tomorrow. And then there's biting and kissing and touching. And suddenly someone starts beating on me. I mean, just pounding on me and growling. Yeah, growling. I look up and there's Chuck. And I'm like, what's the problem? And he says, the problem is, dude, you're fucking my girlfriend. So I look at Marissa, I'm like, you're somebody's girlfriend? And she says, no. Then it comes out Chuck just wishes she's his girlfriend, but actually she's his cousin or something. So he's got these feelings of guilt about wanting her. And then he starts crying. So that ruined the mood. Marissa puts her clothes on. She goes back to the window, back into the party, and I'm left with Chuck. Blubbering, whining, crying, Chuck. And he starts in on how he's just this total fuck up and maybe he's just throw himself off the roof. And for a split second, I'm thinking, yes, throw yourself off the roof. Do it. But I don't say that. I say, you're going to get a girl, buddy. Just maybe not your cousin, huh? And then I give him a friendly pat on the back, a nice manly slap on the back, and he looked heavy. I mean, who knew he'd go flying? Who do you go flying right off the roof?
Good. So the other note that I have for you, that was really good. You did start it at a different place this time, and it gave you more of a journey. So when you started it more affected, you have fewer laughs at the top, but the laughs come later. And it lets us build to that, which is, it works very well. The only other note that I'll give you now is on that end, make sure that who knew he'd go flying is a different thought from the who knew he'd go flying off the roof. Because they are two different lines. So they felt exactly the same this time. Yes, you're describing the same thing, but there's the one feeling about it, and then it's like seriously, you know what? Like whatever you inform it with, there's like the who knew he'd go flying. Who knew he'd go flying off the roof? You see how I made them different?
Right. Yeah.
And that doesn't have, those two choices I made don't have to be the two choices you make, but just make sure they feel like two different realizations, two different moments for him. Okay.
Gotcha. Okay.
All right. You guys, it's going to cut me off, so I'm going to say goodbye really, really quickly. Bye, y'all. Bye. Bye.
All right, see you.
Oh gosh, how funny. All right, this was awesome for me. I really love working with you guys. I do it every Friday at 1 o'clock. Please come back. See you next time.